are one paycheck away from being homeless. Family, you already know what to do. And if you're brand new too, thumbs up this video so YouTube can push this content out. Smash subscribe to join the tribe. And ring the post notification bell as well. All right, let's get into it. Viral topic. We always talk about this. I always mention this. People are one paycheck away from being homeless. But on this one, this is a rant. Let's allow people to share their stories. Let's get it.
Yes, I did say some of us are one paycheck away because another job is not around the corner and you know it. Ask the people that have been looking.
People are pulling up mattresses and living on the sidewalk. Where did the $30 billion go that was supposed to help these people?
No one can afford homes in the United States of America.
Every time I see a homeless man on the street with a sign and they look at me in the eyes, I'm like, I am not that far off from you, buddy. I am not that far off from you.
Yes, I did say we are one paycheck away.
Let's talk about how I went from a good job, a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, to homeless and jobless in less than 30 days.
Yeah, no matter how hard you work, you can't outwork inflation. And it's like they want us to be homeless so damn bad.
Right here is a house. Guess how much it costs? Next door is a condo building where 12 families can live. And you're probably thinking 50% of 3.4 million is still...
It's too motherfucking easy to become homeless nowadays.
So I am more than just a little bit pissed off today. And yes, this is another rant. If you do not want to hear it, please feel free to keep scrolling.
One paycheck. That's all it takes to go from stability to survival mode. People work full-time, stretch every dollar, and still, one missed paycheck can mean losing their home. Landlords keep raising prices. Wages stay frozen, and the cost of shelter is turning into a luxury only the wealthy can afford.
This is my advice for anybody who's thinking about moving to LA. Don't. Stop coming here. Rent is too fucking high. You're gonna keep raising it if you keep letting them justify it because people keep fucking moving here. Every time I see a homeless man on the street with a sign and they look at me in the eyes, I'm like, I am not that far off from you, buddy. I am not that far off from you.
Yes, I did say we are one paycheck away because let's say right now rent is around $2,000. Let's say you have 10 grand saved. How long before that 10 grand is gone with rent, lights, water, gas, cell phone, food, daycare if you have it, gas in your car, maintenance on your car, mortgage or homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance?
10 bands is the new one band. That 10 to go quick. I remember back in the day, all we wanted to do was stack our first 10. We like, with a 10, we gonna turn into 100,000-aires. Then we'll turn into millionaires. Just keep flipping. Even there's some artists, right? Detroit, we play our own artist. It's an artist named Payroll Giovanni, right? From Doughboys Cash Out. My first 10. He talked about how hard it was to get to his first 10. You know, that shoebox money, you putting up everything and stacking it just to get to your first 10. Nowadays, that 10, it ain't nothing, man.
So again, yes, I did say some of us are one paycheck away because another job is not around the corner and you know it. Ask the people that have been looking.
No one can afford homes in the United States of America. I said what I said and I meant it. Let's start with how much the average home costs. As a 23-year-old, I'm considered a young adult. I do not have $400,000 lying around in my pocket. Nor are any loan or approvers probably going to approve me because what? I'm 23 years old. A lot of you are probably saying, well, what about your job and how much do you make? That's besides the point, right? Because everyone is supposed to be able to afford a home in the United States of America, right? It's the American dream, the white picket fence, the kid. No, that's not the case no more. Y'all are lied to. I am so...
Yeah, the new American dream is living outside of America, getting you a house in a third world country. Yesterday, I seen a video on a guy who moved to Africa, the Gambia. And his flex was he's building those hut houses, not HUD, hut houses for $3,000. That's his flex. And that is a flex. He's like, I'm a homeowner. You do got a point there, my brother. You do got a point. They say if you didn't buy a house by 2020, you are not going to own a house in America unless you become rich, which we're not talking about them. They're saying you won't own one because if you're rich, that's a different story. But most people will not become rich. That's the 1% that find them a little glitch, that scam their way to the top, pull them a little scheme. You know, a lot of these people pull schemes, white collar schemes. And then there are the other ones that, you know, they get there through hard work. But that's very few, man.
Of being gaslit by our government, making it seem like we are the problem. So then tell me, why are interest rates so high on houses, right? Because that's your doing. The next thing is, let's talk about why the homes are so expensive besides the interest costs. The amount of money that it takes to build a home now is astronomical. And y'all's friend said he wanted to put tariffs on other countries. The material is already extremely expensive to build and no one can afford it. Not even builders can afford it. That's why the homes are so expensive. Now, for people who already have their home and have already bought their home, that's great and that's nice and all for you that your prices are extremely high and that you probably purchased it for $99,000 and it's probably worth over $500,000, $600,000. That's really nice for y'all. But how about the people who want a house as well? Think not only about yourself, think about your kids or your grandchildren that may want a house in the future. It's not fair to anyone. And then y'all force us and gaslight us to live under rent, where it also increases every year. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. The housing market is gonna crash and no one is gonna like what happens next. But don't say everybody ain't been telling y'all.
If you are from New York and your family's from New York and you can't afford to live here, where do you go? That is the homeless people that you see in the street. These are not random like NPCs who just spawned in the street.
Right.
These are people who fell off. Just one little slip,
system. Yeah.
3% raise of the rent that their salary that they work for can't keep up with. So now they're on the street.
And 3% of the prices now is still a lot.
I don't know what people will say to that. There's nobody that's like, I'm proud to pay $3,000 in rent.
So I am more than just a little bit pissed off today. And yes, this is another rant. If you do not want to hear it, please feel free to keep scrolling. But can we talk about the state of our economy? Because what the actual fuck? I just had a patient tell me that she is now homeless and living in her car. And I want to say this is about the 10th patient to tell me that they have lost their home in the past 6 months. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody help me understand this, because most of the patients that have told me that they have lost their housing have been patients who are employed.
Yes, the new homeless are employed. They have jobs. They're not out panhandling. They're in the midst of those people, but there are people with high-paying jobs that can't afford a house. They can't afford an apartment. They can only afford their food, their vehicle, maybe a gym membership so that they can shower. These are the times that we're living in. The new homeless don't look like the old homeless. People be like, you not homeless, you not dirty, you got nice shoes. No, they got clothes, shoes, electronics. They had all of that before they became homeless. But as this economy took a turn after 2020, then these people had to do what they had to do. Van life, car life is bigger than ever. RV life is bigger than ever. And it's ever growing, even larger. But these people got jobs.
They're working. 2 that I can think of off the top of my head come from a dual income household. There are 2 working adults in the household, yet somehow they were still not able to financially support their families. Make it make sense. How can you have 2 working adults and still not be able to afford to exist, afford to live? And I do not want to hear anybody talking about, oh, money management. No. Have you seen the price of groceries? The price of gas? The price of fucking rent? Okay? It is not feasible for people to live in this country. It makes no sense. The cost of living keeps going up, but the medium household income is not changing. Explain it to me. Explain it to me. And I'm trying to figure out how the fuck we're going to find $14 billion to send to Israel, but the people in this country can't afford a roof over their head. They can't afford food, okay? They can't afford health care. They can't get any of those things, but you have $14 billion to send to Israel? I'm over it. I'm done. This whole country is going to hell in a handbasket, and I'm just over it. So that's why I'm pissed tonight.
$1 billion, and people are pulling up mattresses and living on the sidewalks in Los Angeles, California. Where did the $30 billion go that was supposed to help these people?
So I remember me and my son living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And I remember thinking, damn, I can't wait till I can make enough money to afford a 2-bedroom. And then I did. I made enough money to afford a 2-bedroom. And then I needed a 3. And it's like no matter how hard you work to get to that place, by the time you get there, inflation then jacked the prices up again. So now, you know, it's just like, goddamn, no matter how hard you work, you can't outwork inflation. And it's like they want us to be homeless so damn bad. Like, please. This shit is pissing me the fuck off.
Homelessness in the U.S. has surged by 18% this year, the largest increase ever recorded. That's over 770,000 people without stable housing, according to the Associated Press.
18%. Homelessness has went up the highest it's ever went up. So when people talk about the old times, the old days, this generation is lazy, that's proof right there. Times are the hardest that they've ever been. Homelessness is at an all-time high. Credit card debt at an all-time high. Rent at an all-time high. The cost of a house is at an all-time high. Groceries are at an all-time high. It's not easy out here. And it's about to get worse. That's the sad part. More people will become homeless. Those numbers will be in the millions soon. It's close to 1 million right now. 700K. It's going to be 1 million people on the streets in this country. And some people don't even see it's a problem. That's the worst part. It's going to smack them in the face. They didn't even see it coming.
Why is this happening? First, it's the housing crisis. Rents are climbing faster than wages, and working families are feeling the squeeze. NPR reports that many of the newly homeless are the working poor, people with full-time jobs who just can't keep up with skyrocketing housing costs. The Hill explains this is pushing more families into first-time homelessness. Natural disasters are also a factor. Wildfires in California and New Mexico have destroyed thousands of homes. PBS NewsHour highlights how these disasters leave victims with few options to rebuild, especially with affordable housing already in short supply. And in cities like New York and Chicago, the Associated Press shows how family homelessness has doubled as migrants arrive, overwhelming already stretched shelter systems. Here's the problem. Without enough affordable housing, cities can't meet the growing demand. Developers focus on luxury apartments while families are left behind. It's a vicious cycle. This isn't just about numbers. It's about people, families, workers, and children. We need real solutions, more affordable housing, better wages, and support for disaster victims. What's happening in your city? Share your thoughts below. How can we fix homelessness? Follow and share to keep this conversation going.
So y'all know what's crazy? It's too motherfucking easy to become homeless nowadays. You can miss one motherfucking bill, then it's the fucking streets. That's how fucking fast and easy it is to become homeless. So you think I'm not about to do everything in my motherfucking power to be the richest man alive? I'm about to work this job, that job, start this business. That shit fails, start another business. I'm trying to do everything in my power to be the richest.
I feel him. One income too close to none. You gotta stay 7 steps ahead. Invest into this, invest into that. Try this, try that. You have to. You don't have an option. I'm just glad to hear other people speaking on this. It might sound repetitious when I say it, but when they say it, it's like, okay, I'm not the only one that feel this way. I don't know. I don't hear people talking about it until you get on social media. You can't have these conversations with your inner circle. Well, you're not wrong. You got to do something. Oh, the rich are greedy. You shouldn't focus on being rich. You should focus on having enough income to where you never have to worry about income. That's what you should be focused on.
A lot. And with the economy we're in, the fucking president we have up there, the only way to get through it is to go through it. Pray about it.
Yeah, see, I said that. Remember I said that. I knew me and this brother we was tapped in, right? Our mind is wired the same way. The only way to get through it is to go through it. I said that early on this channel.
Think about it. Internalize it. I'm trying to be rich.
I hate the world we live in. I really do. I can't afford a regular apartment because who has fucking $2-3 grand a month to pay for that? So I've been on wait lists for years, literally 5 years, for an income-based apartment. Finally, so close to getting one, right? And I actually could afford it. No, I make too much money to qualify because I got a second job to help pay my bills. So now I make $4,000 too much to qualify. But make that make sense, because I just sat here and did the math. If I didn't have my second job, I would be in the fucking negatives after I paid rent and all my other bills. So make that make fucking sense. So either I need to work 80 hours a week to afford a fucking $2,000, $3,000 rent, or work less, even though I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. So, like, what the fuck do you want? I cried all fucking day when I found out I was not eligible for the apartment. Literally at work, doing deliveries, viciously sobbing. I can't fucking stand it. I'm over it.
It really sucks that things have to be the way they are. I mean, we all have to do what we have to do to make ends meet, right? The neighbor rented a moving truck, and we're loading up everything she wants to keep in that to put it in storage. I just went through her freezer. I had stuff in her freezer too. I was able to put some of it in my freezer. I don't have much room. Guess I'm going to be smoking a brisket middle of the week because that was in the freezer and I can't let that go bad. And all her dry goods got put in this freezer that I don't use because it uses way too much electricity. And all her spices are on the side there. And I'll hold on to that stuff until she's ready for it. I guess her game plan is to basically live in her car for the next month until she can save up money for her first month's rent and a security deposit on another place, which is kind of fucked up. More power to the rich. Let's make all the working people fucking homeless. It's great. Good friend.
You will own nothing and be happy. The Great Reset is in full effect, full effect, full effect. If y'all can't see it, by what's going on, people have to live in their car for a long time, or just to be able to save money to get somewhere to stay, to rent. We see ownership is slowly slipping through our fingers. It's becoming something that was once just a dream, something that's unattainable. Retirement is becoming unattainable. What was promised to Americans is no longer a promise.
Been a great neighbor for the last 8 years. Being forced to move, basically. That's fucked up.
This one corner explains LA's housing crisis. Right here is a house. Guess how much it costs? Oh, and this is before the fires made everything worse. Detached houses with yards are all that's legal to build on about 3/4 of LA's land. Next door is a condo building where 12 families can live for about half the price. This is illegal to build here, even though they're right next to each other. Now you're probably thinking 50% of 3.4 million is still probably thinking, listen, I don't need to buy a house. I don't need a fancy condo. What would it just cost to rent a basic no-frills apartment? Well, turns out we have one right here. Built as cheap housing in the 50s. It has rent control, faded paint, old appliances, vines growing into your windows, and renting it only costs. Now,
I don't know why nobody stay in LA. It's way too expensive. The opportunities, are they really worth it? You so-called might get a shot at Hollywood. Hollywood is falling. It's falling. It's not worth it. And this is why everybody are moving to the same states. They moving to Texas. They moving down south. They moving to the Midwest too. But then these areas are going to be overpopulated and prices are going to go up as well in those areas. So you really can't win.
This is an expensive neighborhood. The median price for a house in LA is only, but in every neighborhood, you'll see the same general relationship, where this is the most expensive form of housing that houses the least people, while buildings like this house more people at lower cost on the same amount of land. Prices for older, rundown rental apartments are even less expensive, but the rent is still, to use a technical term, bananas. LA wasn't always this expensive. So why is it like this? Let's go back to the map. America's second largest city wasn't always reserved mostly for detached houses with yards. Originally, LA had no zoning code that blocked less expensive forms of housing. And then when the city originally adopted one, it left room to build housing for up to 10 million people. But starting in the 1960s, LA downzoned, banning most forms of housing on most of its land, so that the maximum housing capacity was just above its current population. To understand the effect, imagine you have a growing child, and you think, I'm just going to keep it in this size clothing forever. It eventually starts squeezing and stretching and eventually bursts apart at the seams. Because your city's government changing obscure municipal land use codes doesn't stop families who live there having children, doesn't stop young people from graduating and needing their own places to live, certainly doesn't stop people from wanting to move near the beach. It doesn't stop the businesses and institutions your citizens work in from succeeding and creating opportunities for people from other areas. But when you have thousands of people looking for homes in a city that's more or less legally required to look like this, that makes those homes really expensive. The city and state estimate we need about 500,000 more units in order to stabilize things. That's why Abundant Housing LA is trying to change these outdated laws so we can have enough housing for everyone to live here comfortably and at prices we can actually afford. Follow us to join.
See, and this is the thing that I don't understand, right? Because a lot of people are saying we would love to pay our student loans back. We just want to be able to also pay rent while we're doing it. So is there any way that you can make the payment, more reasonable? I'm not asking to have money left over. If I don't have no money left over, that's fine. But I want to be able to pay my student loans and I want to be able to pay my rent so I'm not homeless. And somehow that's a problem. And I don't understand. We live in a capitalistic state. I thought everything was run based on the consumer. The whole point of a capitalistic state is I want to make money as a business owner. So I'm going to create a product that I'm going to give to the consumer. The consumer is going to buy the product and then therefore I'm going to make money. Everybody's happy. But for some reason, it's like businesses forgot that the capitalistic state isn't just you making money. Like, one, we got to have money to spend money. And baby, if I don't got it, I can't spend it. Apartments are a great example of this. It makes no sense that you want somebody to make 3 to 4 times the rent in a place that people who make 3 to 4 times the rent don't want to rent from.
Right.
If the apartment is fucking $2,000 a month, you want somebody to make $6,000 gross a month. If they're grossing $6,000, I promise you they're not living in an apartment complex where as soon as they walk out their door, there's a crackhead. You want us to be able to pay our rent, but we're not making enough money to pay our rent. Why aren't the landlords more pissed off? You want us to be able to buy cars, but we're not making enough money to buy cars. Why isn't the auto industry pissed off? You want us to be able to buy things, but then we're saying, hey, you got to pay us enough money to be able to buy these things as a consumer. But then when we tell you all that, it's, oh, you're being greedy. Figure it the fuck out. So are you not concerned about losing your business? I need someone well-versed in economics to please explain this to me because I don't get it.
That's true. Everything she said is true. We really don't make enough to afford life. Then there was a study on that. The average American does not make enough to afford a basic living, no longer. Nothing she said was false. Everything she said was factual. Family, let me know what y'all think about this video. People are one paycheck away from being homeless, and this is why those that are on their high horse need to humble themselves. Remember, you one paycheck away. If you lose your job today, you'll be on the streets by tomorrow or next week, maybe next month, whenever your savings dwindle, if you even have savings, because now that's even considered a luxury. Most people don't even have savings. They're not able to. Let me know what y'all think, family. Peace to my Hebrew fam. Shalom. I will catch y'all on the next one.